I hear go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head, yeah, I'ma let him. All I hear go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head, yeah, I'ma let him. Early bird go get the worm in the dirt. I could show you what I'm worth, my hands in the dirt. From where they look when you not, a hand in your purse. Hell, if you think I'm last, say last should be first. Go ahead and...
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiara.
Tiffany.
I'm wrong.
And we are back today for another recap of Godfather of Harlem. This is season 4, episode 6, titled The Visit. But before we get started with the conversation, please make sure you guys subscribe to our channel, like this video, and click that notification bell. We are also on all social media platforms at The Spot Real Talk, so follow us there. And also spread the word to your peoples. Let them know Spot is where it's at. So let's go ahead and talk about this episode, because this was a good one. We were all wondering how Bumpy was going to get out of this situation to get Chance back. And we sitting here like, okay, he don't really have a whole lot of bargaining, power if he not trying to give up some of that, project, a percentage or something. And so we were wondering, were they going to kill Chance? What were they going to do? Use him as leverage? Seems like they did exactly that.
Yeah.
So Colombo has Frank in there beating up on Chance, and I'm like, oh, he couldn't wait. He could not wait.
He couldn't wait. And I was like, Frank, you better hope he never gets out.
Yeah, for real. And Colombo and Frank are sitting up here trying to come up with this plan. So basically Frank is sent to Bumpy in person, which I was like, that's bold. Colombo really just using him as collateral too. Like, he's dispensable, just like Bumpy was using Frank as somebody that they could just dispose of. So Frank was bold and stepping to Bumpy and telling him, that they were going to kill Chance if they didn't cut Colombo in on a deal. And, Bumpy went off. He was like, kill him. He was not playing.
He just blew his head off.
And, I was like, that's kind of one of the first times I think in recent seasons that I've seen Bumpy lose his temper like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that really just shows you how close to heart this Chance situation is.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, man, like, I haven't seen him come undone like that in a minute. And Pettigrew is basically like pleading with him, like, no, like they gonna kill Chance. Kill Frank. And so in the process, Bumpy is so worked up that they end up giving the man a heart attack. I'm like, poor Bump. He ends up having to go to the hospital. But I think that his time in the hospital was needed for him. Bumpy is always on the go. He always moving and shaking and trying to get things going. And I think that he neglected himself to the point where it's like all of this stress and always having to be the person that comes up with the plans and having to always fix stuff. It weighs down on you a lot. And so whatever is going on with your health is a manifestation of the stuff that's been built up over time that you never address. And so I think that's what Mamie was trying to get through to him as well, because she was like, Pettigrew ain't coming in here. I'm going to be the middleman. I'm going to relay the messages. But you need to lay down. And it was so crazy that they even had to sedate him.
Yeah, because he's going crazy. I mean, he's a big man, and you can't just hold him down. You're going to have to sedate him. So my hat goes off to Mamie, because, so she... Yeah. We'll talk about that later, but I was going to talk about the awards ceremony, but we'll do that later. But let me talk to y'all about Frank.
We knew this was going there.
I was like, go ahead, cut him a new one.
I couldn't wait, because I'm going to cut him a new stupid. And look, Frank, if you have a death wish, I used to have a pastor that said, some folk either need to get on with living or get on with dying, but don't hold us up. Hold us up, man. If you got a death wish, go on and die. I mean, because the things that you're doing, I know, Tiffany, you say he's young, dumb, and, whatever. But no, he's just stupid and lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, if sorry, If Bumpy was 6 months earlier,
If he hadn't had the heart attack, yeah, he would have been out of there.
he would have taken that gun from was it Pettigrew and shot him in the head.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
I say the man is lucky.
He really, even this season alone, he's escaped death at least 3, 4
Three
times.
times, at least. And I mean, every time you turn around, he's got a gun up against his head, and he manages to escape. And no matter how smart you may think he is, that's luck or
Some
angel.
of that too. Yep.
So, the other thing I have a slight problem with, and out of annoyance, I guess I'm just annoyed to see him escape death so many times. we know, we know the end result. We know what's going to happen. I just wish they had played it more to the bone because Frank and Bumpy, Frank mentored Bumpy mentored Frank. In order to get to that point, Frank had to have been a little more, um, I guess, less aggressive and thought things through. Now I'm beginning to see the mellowing of Frank, and possibly they'll write it and such. If we don't see it this season, we'll definitely see it next, um, where Frank and Bumpy can have some kind of, you know, re,
Like a bond or some kind of brotherhood. Yeah.
And they begin to work together.
Listen, Chance broke that ice, though.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because when Chance started the conversation about how he got to work with Bumpy, excuse me, and talked about how, Bumpy gave him a second chance. And we heard Frank say, well, oh, he won't give me a second chance. So when I heard him say that, I said, he sounded like a son. He sounded like a kid. Like he wants acceptance. So he was like, I think it's too late for me. He won't give me a second chance. And Chance was like, no, he would.
Yeah.
He would give you a second chance, but you have to earn it.
And I think that, Colombo putting him up to the task of going in to kill Bumpy for $10,000. Now, of course, that was a lot of money back in that time, but he was offering him Bumpy's spot too. Like, if he's out of here, that means you can step in. And so to Frank, I think that was attractive. But when he's up against the gun, again, sneaking in there, trying to kill Bumpy with a knife, Bumpy always on his toes. He had the gun in the tuck ready to go.
I mean,
so I was like, you couldn't have thought it was going to be that easy. But Frank, you said he's young, he's stupid, he's inexperienced, and he's full of himself. He thinks that, I think he has this arrogance about him where he thinks nothing can go wrong. He can weasel his way out of anything. And so when he was pleading with Bumpy for another chance as Bumpy was getting ready to shoot, do you think that was genuine? Like, did he see the light, or was he just doing that to, lip service to get out of the situation?
Well, if he's not stupid.
I think at that point, I think at that point he was genuine in that moment.
This is because of existentialism, where you either turn or you die. And so if he's not stupid, I think he may have realized that there is some hope for him, he and Bumpy. And I'm hoping that it is, because I'm really sick and tired of seeing somebody be that lucky. I am.
Well, the only saving grace was these dreams that keep appearing to Bumpy. He keeps having these dreams in the form of Malcolm X showing up to him and kind of challenging him to be better. And he keeps saying, you have a choice to make. And, you don't have to do the doogie, but you're still doing X, Y, and Z. You need to, right. You can't have one foot in, one foot out. You got to make a choice.
Right.
And I think that last dream where Malcolm is in the room as he's pointing the gun at Frank, he was like, it's not supposed to be black man against black man. You got to understand that it's a system in place that perpetuates this nonsense. Right. And I was like, okay, this is really it's really resonating to Bumpy now that I know what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so that was Frank's saving grace, because otherwise he would have.
It was. Because you saw Frank was looking around like, who he talking to?
Right.
Okay, I'm really wrestling with spirituality. But I did like that out-of-body experience view, that when Bumpy was sitting in the chair and talking to Malcolm X, and then seeing him also in the bed. This, but I like that. That was very well played. Very, very well done.
Yeah, I agree. And so the whole situation works out where Bumpy and Frank kind of come together. I'm sorry, Bumpy and Colombo come together, and they're trying to negotiate, and they come to the final terms that Colombo is asking for 15% and 5% for the families, and then also using Joe Colombo's concrete guys in exchange for Chance. And I'm like, all this fighting that Bumpy did to keep this ownership within, the Black community, make it all be Black owned. I'm like, he gave that up for Chance's life.
Chance.
And that's why I was like, that goes to show you just how much Chance
he cares about. Yeah.
But I said a couple of episodes ago that he's going to have to acquiesce and cut a deal because they do own everything in that regard. And one or two things will have to happen. Either you're going to go back to drugs and make up the money yourself, or you're going to cut a deal. And he's decided to, be stubborn about making the money himself. So it comes down to having to make a deal. Because initially I thought he was going to give Chance up, if you remember correctly, at the very, very beginning,
Yeah.
when Pettigrew brought it to his attention, he was like, "I'm not doing it," and he said, they're going to kill him." And so, or maybe, but of course,
Yeah, he wasn't going to let. But if it wasn't for the fact that they had Chance,
yeah, they would have never got that cut.
no.
There
never.
was nothing. They
Never.
would have had to snatch up Mamie or something.
Do you honestly think that Columbo is actually going to give 5% to the family? He may take it and then tell the family that Bumpy didn't cut him in. Probably not, but
Colombo is really ambitious. He got to go.
Yeah, he definitely does because he's cutting all these side deals too, and I don't think the
Yeah.
families are going to appreciate that he's
No.
getting a large cut.
right,
Right.
right.
So they're going to do something to snake him, backdoor him, or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that Columbo is offering all of these people like these side deals, like offering Frank #2 spot in Harlem, to be the Bumpy replacement. And then like even when Chance was kind of pleading for his life, he was like, "You gonna need me. I'm the only person that know where the stash houses and stuff are." And he's like, "Oh well, maybe we can keep him around and use him." And I'm like, he's essentially trying to be the new Chin. He like that's what he thinks he is.
Yeah.
And it's like you seen where that landed Chin. So
listen, I think Chance was running game on them.
He would never give up Bumpy.
I don't think he would ever turn on Bumpy. I think he was running game as soon as he
by time.
Yeah, what you did and smart, because if they had ever cut Chance loose, Frank would have been history.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised they let him eat that sandwich.
But I think that was Frank that did
it was
that.
Frank, but I was like, you be shocked he ain't choke you up with that sandwich in one hand and his hand around your neck in the other.
He only released one hand. You see, he released the other. So, because if Chance had gotten free at that point, we'd be talking about R.I.P. Frank.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Frank escapes death yet again.
Yeah, look.
Yeah. So, but on the other side of things, Olympia has popped back up this season. A whole lot of nerve. And this time she's got the nerve to come with a warning with Stella. Let her know that, she's basically coming back for everything that she feels Stella has taken from her. And I'm like, why would she try to play so nice with Stella? Like she was the model stepmom, like she was so good to her. Stella is not going for that. Stella was not trying to hear nothing she had to say. And she was basically letting Olympia know, you treated me badly as a child. And I think the guy that Stella, I don't actually know his name, but Pino. Okay. Yeah, so Pino, she told him about some of the things that Olympia used to put her through as a child. And I was like, I could understand why she said she would never love her. So this woman popping back up with demands, especially after she cheated on Chin. Right. I was like, you should have been dead off of that alone.
Sorry, y'all.
You cheated on Chin and then you tried to kill his daughter. You conspired.
That's the worst thing.
You should have been dead
to take his daughter out.
But then we look at Stella, and I'm trying to understand, why would you want her alive? And
But she said she was just going to scare the F out of her.
Well, I
And
would imagine
he basically
broke her.
bashed her kneecaps, broke her kneecaps and stuff. So if she tries to come back after that,
Yeah, she asking for it at that
No,
point.
I mean the mere fact that you would go to what's his name, the family member,
Tommy.
Tommy, and
yeah,
try to talk Tommy into doing it, tells me, and I'm glad Tommy did what he was what he was supposed to do.
yeah, he did.
No, and I was glad to see that, but I just didn't understand Stella's move because I wouldn't trust her. I just wouldn't trust her.
Uh-uh.
Okay, broken
Yeah,
her wrong. She's going to heal, and when she does, what will she do?
that's true. I don't know if it was the code because like usually back in the days they lived by that no women and children type thing.
Right,
And I
right.
know that Stella is a woman in the game. So for her it might have been fair game, woman on woman. But I think that maybe she's just trying to uphold that old code of standards.
Well, remember when her dad told her to be a leader.
Yeah, you
Well,
got it.
Chen also said he didn't care what they did to her.
That's the
Yeah.
other thing too. So
So
again, it's one of those things she should have
And
been.
that was a lot of nerve because she was trying to use her womanly wiles to hit on Tommy to get him to do it.
yeah.
Oh, you terrible.
Tommy was like, "Look,
You caused me enough
what
trouble.
we did in the first place, and now you
I
try."
lost my fingers.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. Yeah,
But I don't think this is the last we see of Olympia for some reason. I don't think they threw her into the mix this season for no reason.
absolutely.
So I think we might
True.
see her again before the end of the season is out. The other thing that's going on this episode with Elise and the Panthers, I mean, they are still dead set on doing this bombing. And Afeni is kind of like, no, that's a little bit crazy. Like that's too extreme. And she's against it. She doesn't want to kill any cops, and she definitely doesn't want, the Panthers to be seen in the light with the community where it's like, okay, we are radicals or something like that. Well, I mean, not necessarily radical, but like
She wants to see
extremists or something like
that they are for the good in the
yes.
community. You don't want because we saw what they used to say about them and try to say that they were like thugs and hoodlums and stuff like that, and try to downplay the good they did in the community.
Yeah.
They were successful at it, but so I can understand. No, if you kill a cop, one cop, everything they've said about you is true. So, so it's interesting though, since we're on that subject, how they were able to get the jump on the police and said, "Hey, we'll let you go if you just give us the name."
So the snitch.
Well, yeah.
That's the police, though. I mean, because you had to let them go, and you actually were going to trust them because you got the jump on them and you held them against their will. That's enough to send you for life in prison. Particularly back in those days, when you didn't have a leg to stand on, anyways, and they already know where you are, because they burst in and searched your place. So.
Listen, they didn't want Big D Willie or whatever dude name.
Yeah.
Showed up and they were like, whatever you want, sir. I will give you. Just don't throw it.
Yeah.
And that's enough to deter them right there. They like, no, we good.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. What you want to know?
Right. But before we even got there, I really like something that Delia was saying to Elise, because Elise came up with the idea like, let's, instead of bombing the precinct, let's do the cop car, an empty cop car, and nobody's hurt. We're gonna make sure there's no collateral damage done to innocent bystanders. And Delia is looking at her like, you know that if you spill the blue blood, that you ain't gonna have time to clean it off before you next.
That's right.
And she was basically saying, think about what that would do to your father. You know, and I was like, I don't think Elise, because she was going back and forth with Delia. She was like basically on her Malcolm X type mindset. Like sometimes these things have to be done. You need to make a show of force. You got to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you got to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. And I'm like, she is a real revolutionary in that sense. But she doesn't necessarily think about the fallout that it could have on other people.
But she implicated her dad too.
I was about to say that too, Ron. I was like, I'm glad you caught that. Because she definitely told the cops, I'm Bumpy Johnson's daughter.
Exactly. Wow. Great.
So I was like, okay, that doesn't help the situation at all.
It doesn't help at all. It doesn't help at all. She might end up in the bang.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
kind of side eyeing Elise now because she's coming up with these ideas too. It's not like nobody's coercing her. She's
Right.
leading the charge. So I'm like, I don't know if her surrounding the people that she has around her are the best for her because they are encouraging her ideas.
Well, not all of them, because some of them Panthers, like, the other guy, I can't remember his name. He's like, what is, other people could get hurt, whatever. Like, he's been speaking down.
But he ultimately ends up going with it though, and that's why
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
she don't have enough pushback.
I think she got too much of Malcolm X and has seen what the struggle again, has come to with Omar being in prison, and then you have Malcolm X, and then you have the Black Panther Party. So I think that mixture has kind of complicated things for her. So she doesn't know how far to take things, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're seeing now is that she just doesn't know how far to take things, and consequently, she's going overboard. Because even if you blow up a cop car, there's no guarantee that an innocent person might not get injured. You can't predict that. You don't know where that person will be
right.
at the time
Mm-hmm.
of the moment. And you don't know, when all that debris starts to fall, how far away it lands. You don't know any of that. So,
Yeah.
I think she's going to be on my hands list. I don't know about anybody.
I'm debating. I'm with you, Ron, because she irritated me a little bit.
She's
I'm
a
like,
little rough.
she's a little short sighted in in evaluating some of the consequences.
Yeah.
But they also found out that there was a rat amongst them.
Mhm.
This guy that had been giving intel to the cops and basically clued them in that there would be a car bombing. And so the police were able to come in and search in advance, and that's how they kind of got onto the path that somebody was a rat. And the
Mhm.
way that they were going to sniff them out, like you said, have Big D Willie come up in there and they pressed the cops for the name of the person that was informing them. And they ended up finding out it was I don't think they ever said his name. I don't know his name on the show, but he's the guy with all of them have afros, so that don't really
Right,
say much.
right.
But
The guy was,
nonetheless, they do end up smothering this guy with a pillow.
Sadiq does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so I'm like, but they doing a lot of killing.
yeah.
For,
Well, Elise was looking at him like she looked like she was worried when he did that. But it made me think about that movie Judas and the Black Messiah.
yeah,
Because remember with Fred Hampton, that William O'Neill infiltrated the Panthers and he was a snitch.
right.
And ultimately, you know, was the one that
Yeah, and that's what
set
really
Fred Hampton up.
right, and that's what the J. Edgar Hoover did. In reality, he got snitches and people that would infiltrate the California's region and Chicago, and then turn them all against one another by therefore weakening the Black Panther Party.
Yep.
So yeah, that's exactly what happened. I love the portrayal here in this in Godfather. I mean, I love Godfather of Harlem. I do.
Yeah.
It may not be uh, scene by scene in terms of truth, but I do
Yeah.
like the way they kind of portray some.
History.
Yeah,
Yeah.
read the disclaimer. It say right at the beginning of the episode, some things might be dramatized for dramatic effect for the show and for the
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but I was just thinking too with this whole, rat situation. Did they have to kill the guy because another? I mean, this is another body that's turned up, and
That
it's
body
on
is
the Panthers' hands.
that body.
That's go ahead.
Well, the other thing too, if you come to me with one bruise on your face, because I'm looking at the person with the bruise, because obviously you're the person who last saw a cop. So if you come to me and they said they beat you down, then I want to see your shirt because you should have a bruise around the ribs. You should have more than that one bruise.
Punch in the face. I mean, the cop punched him for good measure, I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's not like that one punch, and then they say now go tell go back and 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 mingle amongst yourselves. If you got beat down, there are other bruises you're going to have other than that little one punch on the jaw. I mean, on the chin, on the cheek. So I thought um, um,
You thought that would have gave him up, the fact that he wasn't as roughed up as
Well,
he should have been?
I just had a brain fart.
Well, I think Sadiq.
No,
I think that's why Elise was looking at him like
Elise.
that.
No, that's what I was trying to come up with Elise's name. I had a brain.
Okay.
I thought that's where Elise was gonna go
Mm-hmm.
when she said, "I know how to, you know, uh, smoke out a rat," and I'm thinking maybe she's gonna go there, but she didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely used one of Bumpy's tactics, though, because she
Sure.
flipped the script on the cops, thinking they were going to find something. They got a rude awakening. But I was just like, I don't know if it's a good thing that they now have a second body on their,
No,
on their list. And I'm
no,
just like, if you are supposed to be about community and helping, this is a second person from your community that y'all have needless. I mean, I won't say you didn't have a reason to, but it was a little extra. If you couldn't just kick them out of the organization or chastise them some way, I
well,
don't know if
I
death
guess they
was the
did.
answer.
I
Well,
don't think they knew how much more he was going to go back and tell them. Like
exactly.
if they had let him go.
Right. You can't do what they needed to do back in that time and have a snitch.
But doesn't that lead right back to them? Like if the cops have this guy that is an informant and then he turns
Yeah,
up dead after the Panthers just
yeah, yeah.
approached them, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so they did it.
So they did it right.
They didn't care much about black folks in the first place, and I think that of course they knew that what would happen to him because they knew if they gave him up, he's going to die. I mean, coming up with a snitch, I think they feel as though they can do that at any point in time, but they honestly knew that he would not live through that
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you're right, but I'm just saying if they were looking for a reason to take out that whole group of Panthers, they could have said, "I'm arresting y'all for the
right,
murder of da da da,"
right,
and
right.
we
we
don't know
have
what
this
they're
proof
going to
to
do,
say you did it.
but we don't know what they're going to do with that body. And that
Right.
may never be
Right,
seen again. So I
right,
definitely wouldn't put it out on the street for all to find, but
right.
because then you can see that they determined that had been suffocated. But who knows what they'll do with the body? But I believe that they had to do it. I mean, the Bible tells us there's a time for war and there's a time to kill. And okay, I think that was
They doing both at the same time, war and kill. Well,
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know how that's gonna play out. That might come back to bite them, but we're gonna have to
yeah,
stay on the lookout for that.
yeah. I think at least gonna end up in a bang.
I can't say I'm not. I think she will too because she just is doing a lot to me, which brings us to who can get the hands.
Oh, wait a minute before we do that.
Uh-huh.
I was so amazed at how Shakur took that punch.
Afeni.
Yeah.
That was gonna be part of my hands.
I mean, she boned up, but then again, Elise jumps in and says, what the H are you doing? And I'm like, girl, they will punch you too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but at least she's not a small girl. Like in stature, she looks like she's pretty tall
uh-huh,
compared to the rest of the women. So I was like, maybe
uh-huh,
they was a little intimidated by her too.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And I mean, I don't know if
Her dad is Bumpy.
No,
yeah, I was gonna say that
but did
might.
they know it at that time though? Because she did make it
Well,
known.
she already said when she had the cops,
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
plus they probably already know that she Bumpy's daughter, the cops.
Yeah, but I was gonna say that was gonna be my first nomination for the hands. First of all, the cops went up into the diner. They was getting free meals and making demands of Delia. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
I got some nerve. Then they arresting the guy. I mean, I know that they were making a show because he was
Yeah.
an informant, but
yeah,
I mean, the way that they was just coming up with anything to charge you with loitering, this, that,
yeah,
like literally.
yeah, yeah,
And then the final straw for me was him punching Afeni. Like
yeah.
that was a lot. So cops can get the hands, in my view.
Yeah, the cops can get the hands. The
Uh,
informant can get the hands too, but he did already get the
He
hands.
gone. R.I.P.
Yeah, I'm putting Elise on the script too, because as we all said, she's doing a bit much, and she's really putting the Black Panther Party at risk with some of these plans. And they sound good, but they're empty in terms of success rate. So if she keeps doing that, not only will she, be placed in that same position Omar's in, but she's also gonna, you're threatening the lives of these other guys that wanted to do something different, and
Listen.
you come in with these strong ideas, and they're following you, and subsequently that might not be a good.
Omar is in her rear view. She's already got Sadiq in her rear view mirror. I mean,
I thought it was interesting Sadiq letting her know about his son this episode too. And his son is fighting in Vietnam War and how the government is spying on his letters. I think that might become a part of the storyline as well.
It is, because the timeline fits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, Elise can get the hands. I think she's being a little rash in her decisions and a little short-sighted. Who else? Frank can get the hands.
Yep.
We already
Colombo,
yeah. And Olympia.
Olympia too, yeah. Olympia.
She definitely gets the hand.
Yeah.
Okay, now do we have a standout for Game Ball?
Well, I did mention earlier that I would give Mamie the game ball because I did, it was very touching to me how she took care of Bumpy while in the
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
She knew the right things to say. She knew how to control him and calm him down. And I said, in spite of what I may have felt before, she appears to be very good for him.
He loves him.
That's what he told him.
I know, and but it really showed. I don't know if I've seen another episode where, to me, she showed just how much she loved him. I mean, even when she said, if your heart fails, so does mine.
I can't live without you. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, wow. Yeah. I think she really does love Bumpy. But seeing him in this hospital, for me, I was like, it put a time frame for me. Because I was like, okay, we coming towards the end.
And
I mean, we'll see what happens. But I wonder if he makes it through this season.
Now that would be explosive. It's only 4 episodes left.
Yeah.
Could the show go on without Bumpy?
If they're trying to transition and tell the story about Frank Lucas.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I mean, obviously they've had movies about Bumpy Johnson before, and having this show as a series has garnered a lot of attention too. So it's not to say that, having American Gangster with somebody like Frank Lucas and then having a show, with him, on a long format kind of series, that I think that would still be of interest to people as well.
Yeah, because a lot of people.
But could you still call it Godfather of Harlem, because that is a title meant for Bumpy?
For Bumpy, yeah.
I mean, if you remember American Gangster, how Bumpy worked with Frank in delivering food in the community and so forth. And when Bumpy died, Frank Lucas took over. So I can see that for next season, definitely.
We might have to call it Godson of Harlem.
Well, he rose to that occasion. So at some point, he will rise to that occasion.
Yeah.
Of Harlem. So I definitely can see Bumpy lasting out these next 4 episodes, but I do believe that that's in the next season we'll probably see that trend.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of this season holds. I definitely gave Bumpy my game ball for this episode.
Yeah, me too.
Even with him being down and out, really having a serious health event and still coming through for your man.
Yeah,
like, that's major. That shows a lot of heart, a lot of love.
Yeah, that friendship meant more to him. So
so I was like, okay, but Bumpy has, despite whatever harm he has done in the community, he is a stand-up guy overall.
Right.
He definitely cleaned it up with Malcolm, Malcolm's influence, and so not to say that wouldn't have happened either way, but I think Malcolm was pivotal in helping him evolve, and we're kind of seeing that play out with these dreams that he's been having.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have to have an angel on your shoulder, Malcolm X is one, because he opened up Bumpy's eyes to see that what he was doing was wrong. There's another way. So,
yeah, it was good to see that actor again too, because after he died, I thought we wasn't gonna see him no more. So him reappearing through these dreams is a refreshing way to reintroduce him back into the series. Yeah, so it still kind of flows very well and it serves a purpose, not just like a flashback or something like that. So, you guys have anything else you want to add before we close out?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thank you to all the viewers out there. Please make sure you drop down in the comment section and give us your thoughts on this episode, as well as any predictions you have for the future episodes. I think we got 4 left. Also, please make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the video, click that notification bell. Important. You never know when we might have, special guests on. You're not going to want to miss out if that happens. Also, invite your friends, your family, your sister, your brother, your cousin. Tell them The Spot Real Talk has a lot of great conversations on the shows you care about. We are also on all social media platforms at The Spot Real Talk, so give us a follow there. Keep up with us. We are also recapping The Shy, so if you like that show, we have recaps for that dropping every week as well. And if you have any suggestions, we are also open and taking suggestions of any shows that you would like to see us talk about. Tiff, Ron, any last words?
I'd like to say, if you got a pet, your pet dog, your cat, put them down and have them watch us too. I'm sure they'll find something of interest.
I'm not mad at it. Get them views up.
Get those paws up. Hey, I'll take it anyway.
All right, y'all. Well, on that note, we are going to call it a night. Thanks for watching, and please make sure you are back next week for another recap of Godfather of Harlem. Good night.
Night.
Bye.